Hello everyone and welcome to Sunny. Today I'm coming to you with the Spaceman book tag. This is an original tag by Rachel, who I'm going to link down below in the description, including a link to her original tag video, where you can see the questions and also how she did it and what her thoughts were behind this tag. She really likes the new album by Nick Jonas and decided to use a book tag with that, and I'm just now deciding to do that tag myself. And I really want to get into Nick Jonas's music, so let's just go. So the first song in the album is Don't Give Up on Us, and that comes with the question, what is a second chance book? And for me it is actually Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. I read this first when I was, I believe, 14 in German, and I really didn't like it. I had to force myself into reading it. It was the only book that I brought with me when I went to France for a week or two for like a language camp kind of thing, and I took it with me as the only option for me to read, so I actually had to read it, and I really didn't enjoy it, but I didn't want to DNF it back then. In general, I have a hard time DNFing books. And then I think 2019 I decided to pick it up again as an ebook in English, as an audiobook in English, because I was like, maybe now that I'm older, maybe now that I'm reading it in the original language, maybe I enjoy it more. Sadly, that was not the case. Again, I felt like it was dragging too much, that nothing really happened. So I did finish it, but the enjoyment was more than the first time I read it. If you don't know what Twilight is about, I don't know under what star you're living, but I might still explain it. It's about Bella Swan, who decides to move in with her father in Fox, which is like a small city, and there she meets Edward, who is a very mysterious guy, yeah, vampires, werewolves, sparkles. I can't explain it any better than that. Charlie is the best character in all of this. And in my opinion, the movies are better than the books. I'm sorry, I just didn't enjoy the book at all, and I don't think I will ever read any of the other books. Okay, next song we have Heights, and the question for that is, what is a slow burn romance? And I decided to go with the Precious Stone Trilogy by Kerstin Gier, which I read ages ago in German, which is the original language it was published in, and I feel like it counts as a slow burn romance because they didn't immediately think of each other as lovers. The feelings weren't there from the beginning. Like, sometimes you feel it's very insta-lovey, and this one it takes a bit longer. And there are problems in between, so yes, they like each other, but then something comes in where they kind of don't like each other anymore, so it's a bit of a roller coaster, which in my opinion is much better than an insta-lovey story where there's like a, okay, so what are we going to do now? So I decided to go with that. The Precious Stone Trilogy is a time-traveling trilogy where it's two families. In the family tree that you can see that there is a time-traveling gene that manifests itself when you're 16. So once you're 16 you start traveling back in time, and these jumps are really uncontrollable. You don't know when you're gonna jump and for how long you're going to jump. And in this one family it's manifested in the male parts of the family, and in the other it's in the females. And this book follows Gwyneth, who in the original is actually called Gwendolyn, and all this time it was thought that her cousin has the gene, but it ends up actually being her, and she's brought into all of this knowing nothing about it at all. She all of a sudden has to do all this training because they ended up making an apparatus that is able to make them control their jumps, so they can be sent back into time for a specific time, and that makes it then manageable for them so they don't uncontrollably jump. So yeah, all of a sudden she's just thrown into all of this without any knowledge of it beforehand. And there's also the guy from the other family, forgot his name right now, and I feel so bad for forgetting his name. Oh my god, why did I just forget Gwyneth's friend? It's a name. Gwyneth, and then Charlotte is a cousin, and Gideon, oh my god, Gideon, it's not even a difficult name. And then Gideon is the male counterpart from the other family, and she is like the last one. So there's 12, and she's the 12th, and everyone has their own stone, and it's called Ruby Red because she's actually the ruby, and the ruby is the last one. And they have to try and fill the apparatus with everyone's blood because it's filled with blood, and once the apparatus is filled with blood, the circle is fulfilled and something, and they are on their quest to getting the blood from the previous travelers who are now dead. But as they can travel back in time, they're trying to find them back in the past to get their blood. So they're on a quest for that. It's really interesting, and I really enjoyed the German books. I've read them like really quickly. Surprising because they're quite big. Next off we have Spaceman, which is your favorite standalone book, and for that I will have to go with First of Being a Wallflower by Chbosky, which is one of my favorite books all time, like standalone and anything really. I reread this book almost every year. I feel like I read it every year. I haven't read it this year yet. And I can't remember of last year, but I do want to read it a lot of times because it's just nostalgia pure, and I really like the writing style. It's actually written in letters and not in the usual dialogue feelings, monologue kind of writing style, which is super interesting. And it's about this young guy, Charlie. He just starts high school. Like, he is in his first year of high school, which is a freshman. That took me a bit longer. So he's a freshman in high school, and he writes this letter to, I think it's a musician or something, and he writes about what he's doing, about getting new friends, and all these adventures he's doing in his freshman year, falling in love, and yeah, it's a coming of age story, super interesting. There is a trigger warning for mentioning of rape though, so heads up for that one. I'm not fully sure how explicitly it's talked about, but it's definitely mentioned that there was rape happening before the book started. Next we have the song Too Drunk, which is a book that gave you a major book hangover. So sadly I got no book that gave me hangover, or I just don't understand what a book hangover actually is. That's possibly it, I don't know. Yeah, let's just go to the next one. Next there is Delicious, which is a book that is a more hype, which again means I have to go through my Discord and my Goodreads. A book that I really enjoyed this year was Dark and Deepest Red by McLemore. So I might just go with that one because it has a 3.62 rating on Goodreads. So I feel like it deserves more hype. Don't think a lot of people have read it yet, so let's just go with Dark and Deepest Red by McLemore, which follows two different times. One is in summer 1518 Strasbourg, and the other one is 5 centuries later, which I don't think actually the later one says exactly where it takes place in, but I do think it's somewhere in America, I think. And there is this one sickness, yes. This is one sickness that goes around where women start dancing and they cannot stop, and then they die from exhaustion or from whatever can happen while you dance. So they dance till they're dead. And then Lavina tries to find out what happened and tries to help. And then 5 centuries later, this girl, Rosella, lives, finds her shoes. No, she doesn't find her shoes. She fixes her shoes that her family made but kept then damaged because pride. She fixes them, she puts them on, and she cannot take them off, and she randomly starts dancing. And she tries to find out what happened, but doesn't want to talk to anyone about it because she's scared that people will not talk to her. And then she finds out talking to Emil helps because he is actually descendant of Lavinia. I cannot explain this in a good way. Oh my god. It's basically about a sickness going around killing people. Especially women. They just start dancing. And that's it. I'm just gonna go with that. It's really nice, and then the chapters are shorter, and then it switches in time, which is really nice. Next off we have This Is Heaven, which is a book you loved so much you didn't want it to end. For a book that I loved so much that I didn't want to end, I decided to go with Mad About the Head by forgot the name, Dakota Chase, which is kind of a Alice in Wonderland retelling, but it's with Alice's brother instead of Alice, and it's actually a bit more modernized, so it's actually playing in today's time, where Alice is all grown up, has her own family, and then she has a younger brother who all the time does not believe her that Wonderland actually exists, so she decides to actually just send him to Wonderland and figure it out by himself. And there he meets the Mad Hatter, which is why it's about Mad About the Hatter. And yeah, there's LGBTQIA plus representation, and that spin at the end, that was good. But yeah, I kind of wished it was longer. Then we have Sexual, which is a book that gets you hot under the collar, and I have to be honest, I don't really read that kind of books. For me personally, I've not read any erotica, so and I don't really see any hotness in what I'm reading, because it's mostly YA, and I'd be worried if I'd get that reaction. I'm just saying. Then we have Deeper Love, which is a book that where the more times you read it, the more you love it. And I'm just gonna go Pride and Prejudice. She can say that. I've read it, I tried to read it once and I didn't get through with it, so I kind of paused it. And then I read it again 2 years ago and I was fine with it. I think I gave it 3 stars. And I'm reading it right now and I'm liking it much more than I liked it last time. So I think that counts. I'm getting progressively better at Pride and Prejudice. Which is, yeah, I don't think I have to say about Pride and Prejudice, right? It's about Elizabeth Bennet and her family. She's like she's one of 4 girls, and it's in all the time, I forgot the era, but there's this new guy moving into a huge house nearby, who is Mr. Bingley, and he has a best friend, Mr. Darcy. And yeah, as the title says, Pride and Prejudice is their prides. Everyone is too proud to talk to the other, and then they're prejudiced against each other. Really interesting. Then we have, I did not meant to do, okay. Then we have If I Fall, which is what's a new favorite book. And for that, I'm going to not go with the same books over and over again. Okay, I do have to go with Cinder for that, by Marissa, Meyer, which I know is controversial because the problematic representation of the Asian community and the appropriation of Japanese culture. I read it prior to that, so I didn't know about the controversy that came with the book. But the book itself I still enjoyed, so I did not take away from my enjoyment realizing it afterwards, and I will still fully finish the series. Yeah. And it's a Cinderella retelling in this. It's like, it is in the future, but there's actually also people. It's like a bit more sci-fi fantasy because there's also people living in the moon, on the moon, the Lunars. And the first book follows Cinder, who is a cyborg, so she has like a mechanical hand, and she's a mechanic. And then the prince comes to her and asks her to fix a giant, and she helps out and stuff. Then we have Death to Us Part, which is a book that you into reading so much you never look back. There's this one book that brought me into reading, but we're not talking about that one. But I paused reading afterwards, so it's okay. So I can manage another book, and that's The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. The Hunger Games is a dystopian American futuristic book that features 12 districts and a capital, and each year the districts have to send in 2 kids, a girl and a boy between the ages of 12 and 18, into huge bowl, which is basically a tournament. So after that only one kid can come out, and that's the Hunger Games. Ta-da! The best I can put it. Then we have Nervous, which is what is an intimidating book that is currently on your bookshelf, and I have to go with Cybertrips by Grasshoff because it's a huge book, it's science fiction and it's German. I liked the first book, I really enjoyed the first book, but I'm worried about the second one. Put it on my TBR a couple of times, but so far I haven't been able to actually read it. And it is also a dystopian futuristic book, but kind of a bit more with zombies, but the zombies are actually not from a virus, but it's actually virus, but it's an electronic virus that makes that they decided to create, and that made them into non-feeling people that, I think they're called Mojo or something. Really interesting, super nicely done, lot of perspectives, and the artwork is, oh my god. I want that person that did that artwork to do my artwork once my book is done. Okay, next we have Selfish. What is a book you can't live without? There's this book coming into mind, I'm just gonna leave it with that. Next one we have Dangerous, which is a guilty pleasure book, and I don't really have guilty pleasures. I feel like it's not something to feel guilty about what you read or what you watch. But I might just go with the Descendants novel by Marissa de la Cruz, which now I have the sequel, so yay! I can now read the whole series. So it's 4 books, and it is companions novels to the Disney Descendants movies, which I have readathon for, and it follows these kids from Disney villains, so like Maleficent, Cruella de Vil, or Ursula and stuff. So they have kids, and then also the Disney heroes also have kids, and it follows these kids. So that makes sense. And then yeah, that's it. That was Dangerous. That was the last one. So I hope you liked this video. If you did so, give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Don't forget to click on the bell right next to it so you don't miss whenever I post a new video. Who knows when that will be. Yeah, comment down below what your books would be for the questions. I will put them in the description down below with a link to the video, of course. And yeah, hope you like this. Keep on reading, and see you next time. Bye!